is groaning in pains of childbirth unto now. Now I want to direct you to some words of Jesus as quickly as I can. The Lord help him. Matthew 19, verse 28. I want to talk about this regeneration, which is not just our personal regeneration, but the regeneration. Jesus said to his disciples, truly I say to you, that you who have followed me in the regeneration, that means the rebirth. When the Son of Man will sit on his glorious throne, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. There is a rebirth coming, which is the rebirth of creation. That's the redemption of creation. And then Jesus said in Matthew 24, verse 8, about the signs that mark the close of the age, but all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. The birth pangs of what? And then he said in Luke 21, verse 28, Luke 21, 28, but when these things, that's what he was describing in Matthew 24, begin to take place, straighten up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. And you see, that's the climax. It's not just our personal redemption, it's the redemption of creation. And all creation is groaning in birth pangs, longing for that. And we who have the first fruits of the Spirit, God's purpose is that we should be groaning together. That we should not be wrapped up in all our little personal problems and church quarrels, but that we should see the glorious vision of what God has in mind, and we would give ourselves in prayer to bring it about. We're continuing now with our exploration of Romans chapter 8. In our previous session, we looked at verses 18 through 25, which is a marvelous revelation of God's total purpose for creation. And we find that as believers in Jesus who receive the Holy Spirit, we are not to be solely preoccupied with our own little concerns, or with the affairs of this age, or even with the total destiny of the church. But God wants us to be so enlarged in our understanding and our responses within that we can identify with God's total program for creation. One reason for this is that we, the human race, are responsible for all the trouble that's come upon creation. Because God made Adam steward over the creation, and Adam was unfaithful and failed in his stewardship, and this brought disaster not only upon Adam and his descendants, but upon the creation over which he was steward. And so God, in his limitless wisdom, has ordained that the redemption of creation will be closely tied in with the redemption of the Adamic race. Creation will not be redeemed until our redemption is complete. So that because our sin brought corruption and disaster upon creation, it will be our redemption that will bring back redemption to creation. And so Paul speaks about praying not just for our own petty concerns, but being concerned with creation for that wonderful, glorious day of redemption, sharing the longing of creation for the return of righteousness